Welcome back to the Panzer Museum in Munster and our part 2 of the special that we have going on, where I am annoying Hillary with strange and wonderful questions as we are clambering over, around, down or through the Panzer IV. Okay, so we have clambered into the 3-man turret of the Panzer IV. I've come in through the commander's hatch. It's actually kind of a narrow squeeze, and Hillary's come in through the multiple doors. There's a lot of doors on this thing.
Yes, each crewman has a door.
Was that a requirement or just something that they decided?
A specification from the beginning. Each man would have his own exit and entry position.
Well, it was awfully thoughtful of them. So the Panzer IV, of course, late 1930s, we're talking about a powered 3-man turret, which is fairly advanced thinking compared to what other people were doing at the time. Again, was a Waffenamt requirement or just something?
Yes, it was an electrical drive turret. It had its own special engine for just driving the turret to electrics, and the power to reverse could give you 360 degrees in 33 seconds.
It's not bad for the time. And it's a full platform as well, so your legs aren't going to get caught on anything major. Mm-hmm. So looking at the commander's position itself, of course, the Germans also were very early into the cupola business. Any particular stories behind that, or just, hey, let's build something with 5 of these vision blocks?
No, but the French had already experience in the cupolas as well, so maybe they picked it up from there.
Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed by the French cupolas, has to be said. The things where you kind of rotate with your helmet and it's god-awful. But anyway, so there are 5 cupolas with the glass blocks behind, and I do note that they can open and close a little bit, which is kind of I've locked it in place. So it's a full close, a half open, and a full open with a pointer to my direct front. Together with, this is one of the earliest azimuth indicators on a cupola that I can think of. The other, of course, interesting point about this tank is that the commander is behind a very large gun that is recoiling towards the most important part in the tank. A little disconcerting.
Yes.
Now, presumably, the original short 75 wasn't going to endanger the family jewels as much.
No, not as much. It wouldn't have recoiled as far. It's obviously when they put in the long gun, they had to take more space, and they didn't redesign the turret to do this.
Simple spent shell casing bag. One nice thing about this design, though, is that you don't have the commander and the gunner crammed one behind the other and trying to take up that little. You get a lot more room for the two operators. So I guess you get more advantage out of that turret ring.
I think it was certainly when the short gun was available, you had short cartridges for the loader to handle and so forth. Plenty of space for the loader here.
So radio access. The commander could transmit on the radio. There was electrical communications, presumably from here, so he could talk direct to whoever.
This was the first of the Panzer IVs where there was an intercom permanently available.
So before then?
Before then, it was an intercom available when they weren't using the radio, or they were using a voice tube between the commander and the driver.
Not quite sure how that would work if the turret is turned.
I wasn't at that meeting. But you can tap the shoulders of the gunner and so forth. You can communicate very easily with him.
Fair enough. Okay, so this was a Tropen tank. So this vehicle is driving around in North Africa and it's a bit warm. Did the Tropen modification include any sort of additional cooling systems?
Yes,
for the people.
The people. There's behind you there's vents into the engine compartment, so it could draw air from the vehicle out.
And that was only on the Tropens?
Yeah.
Okay, convenient enough. And
there's a fan for fume extraction, which is missing on this particular vehicle.
Okay, so that would help. So it wasn't too god-awful, and, well, I guess you could just open a door.
The hatches opened, and they could be locked just 20 millimeters open. So you were still protected if you were in combat, but you could have the hatch open.
Fair enough. Let's see. Pistol ports to the rear, I guess, just in case the natives got a little bit restless. And I do note that there are 2 footrests for the commander. So I guess he can keep his legs clear and safe. The seat folds down so he can stand on the turret floor for looking at the roof. A simple 2-piece hatch. Now that got replaced later.
They went to a thicker armor cupola, so it's a bigger cupola on the outside, no change on the inside, and then you get a single hatch on that. And eventually the final version had a swivel hatch that swiveled to the side, a single piece.
And you'd find that presumably on the J's or something?
J's, yeah. Yeah.
I don't have much else to say about the commander's position. I mean, it's not ideal, but I've been in worse. All right, well, let me hop over to the gunner seat and we'll see what he's got. All right, now Hillary's just showing off. We've moved 1 step to the left each, and he is sitting quite comfortably on the commander's seat.
Perfect. Depression era crowds obviously didn't have the problems that you have. You ate too much groceries over the years.
Yeah, blame my mother. Always wanted me to eat vegetables. All right, so the gunner's seat on the left-hand side, he's got a couple of things going to him. 1, as already mentioned, he's on his own. And 2, with a 1.6 meter turret ring, this is one of the largest going. It's bigger even than Churchill's and Cromwell's of the late war era, which were, this is 63 inches. How were they able to make it so wide?
Well, part of the whole design, as we looked at the suspension on the outside, it's on the outside of the vehicle. There's nothing underneath. Mm-hmm. So they were able to use the space in the vehicle, and they put fuel tanks underneath the turret platform. So you've got 30 centimeters, 1 foot of fuel tank, and that raises the whole thing up, and that allows you enough height over the tracks that you can put the sponsons out over the tracks. And that's how they achieved the large turret ring. And that was there from day one on the first models back in mid-30s.
And underneath me are the fuel tanks, not ammo on most tanks. And to the front, of course, the sight for the gun. Now, as you say, we start off with 24. We go to a 43 and a 48. The realization that we need a bigger gun happened when?
Well, it came with the meeting of the T-34 in Russia. They realized that even the long 5 centimeter gun was not sufficient. But they had the Rheinmetall L43, and then they discovered they could increase that by 5 lengths up to L48. And it was a very, very accurate gun. And it became virtually the standard gun for most vehicles, including the Sturmgeschütz. The basic length of the gun and design was all somewhat similar. Okay.
And the ammunition, Panzergranat 39, 40, and then HE.
Yes.
Anything else?
The Springgranate 34 is the HE. And then you had also for the short gun, they had a hollow charge round at the end. But they also carried hollow charge round in these for when they encountered heavy vehicles like the Stalin.
So in theory, a 48 could destroy a Stalin from the front with a hollow charge round?
Yes.
All right, so
they also had the tungsten AP40s, high velocity sub-caliber round.
If they had the tungsten available. So,
yeah, well, they always carried a certain number of those rounds.
Was there ever any attempt to put one of the squeeze bore guns into a Panzer IV?
Yes, there was experiments on all of these things. There was an experimental one of these, but they stopped that fairly quickly.
All right, back to the gun. So the gun sight, the TZF-5F, the Germans always had a reputation for excellent clarity of gun sights and excellent gunnery. Mm-hmm. Any particular reason for that? Was there a special emphasis, or was it just that their engineers were very good?
Well, they had very good optics engineers in Leitz and Zeiss, and that's where all that comes from. They were making very high quality lenses, and even today those lenses are much valued in camera equipment.
The scale is not your traditional crosshair.
No crosshairs in a German vehicle. It's a series of triangles that you do the calculations based on what you see on the sitting on the top of the triangles.
Okay, so Traverse Systems. We have a motor, an auxiliary motor drives an electrical engine.
It'd be some behind you there now in the motor compartment where turret pointing straight ahead. Behind you, you have an auxiliary motor which is running a generator, which is powering the electric motor, which is hanging down in front of your knees there.
Right.
And you can select either manual or the electric motor. So
by use of this Hand and motor.
Yeah, so for fast traverse, you'd use the electric motor. And then I guess most skilled gunners would change over to manual for the final.
Which is this little crank here. It's simple enough. I see it operates a chain which goes to this. Well, maybe that's a cog system to the turret ring.
That goes to the turret ring, yeah.
All right, so optics, he's got a glass vision port to his front, which I think is good. I mean, it means that you can see more than a lot of German tanks who just have the gunner's telescope. I never understood why they never put a periscope in the roof. I mean, the Soviets were doing it.
I have no answer to that.
Another meeting you were not at.
Yeah, exactly.
Side visor here. And I guess I can't really use it very much. I mean, what would you use it?
You've got
to on place.
When the maybe in the earlier version where there was more room, you could get in there and see, but it's quite far forward from where you're sitting.
I guess I can always just stick my head at the side here. Yeah.
And if there's a vision block and a glass block in front of that, you've got to put your head in behind the telescope to see it.
Yeah. What's this yogi?
That's your signal port. That's where you wave your flags.
Ah, well, that's important.
Oh, it was up till the Ausführung F, which is really the same tank as the Ausführung G. Just the gun is different. The G has the long gun. But with the F was the first one that didn't depend on that for signaling to other tanks.
Would they have an issue flare guns?
Signal ammunition is...
Oh, well, very conveniently located right to your right there.
So we can pop this open and you can see the... it doesn't pop open.
I had it open earlier, but...
Yeah.
All right, so the sight is graduated for the Panzer Grenadier 39 to 2,500 meters. And again, as we're saying, the Germans have this reputation for accuracy. So if the gun can shoot 2,500 meters, the sight can shoot 2,500 meters, you see a target at 2,500 meters, you fire, you will kill it?
You should hit it.
Should,
but there are studies on the number of rounds that were needed to hit a target, and it's surprisingly high. I've seen figures of 18 rounds being needed to fire to hit a target during the Second World War on average. And the Germans were actually better than most at hitting the targets.
I guess getting shot back at tends to put you off your aim a little.
Probably.
All right, so operation of the gun, as we've already mentioned, we have the selector for manual or powered. The two controls are to the front. I have to say the system is very well balanced. I can very easily hand crank one way or the other. Foot trigger will set the round off. And well, judging by the size of the basket, I'd say maybe 15 or 20 rounds before your basket is filled and you got to eject the spent shell casings at the side port. Travel lock is directly to my front. It is missing. And I think that's pretty much it for the gunner seat. So let's talk ammo. Greetings. Just a reminder, if you are not yet a player of World of Tanks, the free game, because it's not going to cost you anything to try it out, have a look at the text description below the video here. Download it, try it out, let us know if you like it. That was it. See you on the next one. How do you get 2.6?
Another meeting I wasn't at.
Okay, well, I think we've about covered the loader's position here.